Hello, everyone. My name is Sharu, and I'm excited to welcome you all to today's session coming
I'm
off the heels of Apple's Worldwide Developer
not hearing
Conference.
any audio.
Today,
I hear a little, it's just very low.
enterprise-related
I
capabilities
hear
for
nothing.
Vision OS 26 that empower our partners to take their Vision Pro solutions to the next level.
Really?
Yep, but it's super
In
low.
addition, we'll also be sharing engineering best practices for building great apps for Vision Pro. I'll be joined by two of my peers today, Kevin, who will be sharing what's new with Vision OS 26, and Ryan, who will be sharing the engineering best practices. At the very end, we'll
I
have a live
literally hear
Q&A,
nothing right now.
so feel free
I can hear him talking,
to
Tim. I'm
answer
sorry.
or ask
But
questions.
no,
But
that's fine.
it's
I'm saying
You'll see a
I
super
Q&A.
can't,
low.
and I'm the one hosting it, so I hear nothing.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
Just some housekeeping rules before we get started. The
um,
session today will be recorded, so will be replayable after for those who are unable to join, or if you want to view any of the discussions that we had during the webinar. Closed captions are also an option. And then, like mentioned, please submit questions throughout, and then we'll try to answer the ones at the very end. So we're going to kick it over to a video for Kevin, then come back, and then have a little bit of Q&A with Kevin, and then we'll go on to Ryan's segment. So without further ado, here's Kevin talking about what's new with Vision OS 26.
Vision OS 26 is a huge release that delivers more spatial experiences than ever before. There are new ways to stay connected with Vision Pro users both near and far, and there are big opportunities for enterprises, developers, and creators to deliver groundbreaking features and content. Let's start with the all-new personas. Personas in Vision OS 26 undergo a dramatic transformation with improved detail to hair, eyelashes, complexion, and more. This allows us to reflect you more naturally and realistically in your collaborative discussions. We've also introduced shared experiences nearby. Shared experiences in Vision OS become even more versatile with the ability to share Vision Pro apps with people together in the same room. Your existing SharePlay apps automatically work. There's no need for additional code. ARKit has actually added support for shared world anchors, making it possible to precisely anchor shared content to the room that you're in. You can move, resize, and snap apps and content to your surroundings during a SharePlay session. And with Quick Look, you can manipulate scale and hand off virtual objects to one another, just like they're a physical object in the room. This also works with remote users as well, as we can see here in this example of the 3D Live application from Dassault Systems. We've also introduced the idea of persistence. Part of the magic of spatial computing is the ability to seamlessly blend digital content with the physical world. And with Vision OS 26, apps and Quick Look content can now be aligned to physical surfaces and locked into place, providing a brand new way to utilize existing spaces. This locked content can now persist, reappearing in the same place even after you restart your Vision Pro. The new persistence APIs allow you to specify what content can be restored or reused. And we've made it much, much easier to share devices and set up devices in multi-user environments. Vision OS 26 enables users to securely save their Vision Pro hand and eye data, vision prescription, and accessibility settings right to their iPhone. Whether using a shared device or you're just using a friend's Vision Pro as a guest user, you can now skip that hand and eye enrollment setup and start using Vision Pro quickly. This is what the experience on your iPhone would look like. All you have to do in order to ingest your hand and eye enrollment data is bring your iPhone right near the Vision Pro. Super simple, right? We also announced Logitech Muse for Apple Vision Pro, a digital pencil that enhances the way users work, create, and collaborate, and it will be available later this year. Muse combines a very familiar form factor with advanced technology, including it tracking 6 degrees of freedom, intuitive buttons, and gestures, which allows users to draw and annotate in their space and on surfaces. It has fluid motion tracking, which allows users to transform their workflows across a variety of disciplines, including designing intricate 3D models, to brainstorming in virtual workspaces, and bringing complex ideas to life with immersive tools. It also supports real-time haptic response and a pressure-sensitive tip, which allows you to have a textural realism, ensuring the creative journey will remain fluid and instinctive. Now I'd like to talk about some of the new enterprise APIs we announced this year. With Vision OS 2, we announced 6 enterprise APIs, and many of our developers and customers adopted these at scale. And we're happy to announce that with Vision OS 26, we're bringing brand new APIs to the table. With these new enterprise APIs, our customers can now extend the main camera's access to a shared space. They can access both the individual main camera or both main cameras for a stereoscopic simultaneous feed. They can also receive enhanced stabilized video feeds of a selected region of interest. They can protect sensitive content by deactivating screenshots, screen recordings, AirPlay, and SharePlay. They can enable app windows to automatically follow a user's position. And lastly, they can create a locally shared experience using an enterprise already existing infrastructure. Camera Region allows developers to create a new Swift UI element that acts as a frame that the user can place anywhere within their field of view. It actually passes the camera frames from that specified region back to the app for processing or display. The region in the space is fixed and stabilized, so if a user is moving their head or looks around, they will continue to get frames from the space that they've defined as long as it stays within the camera's field of view. Window follow mode is another great new feature that we've introduced. When a user installs an app that has the follow mode for Windows entitlement configured, all standard Windows on Vision Pro across all apps on the system have follow mode permissions enabled. When follow mode is turned on for a specific window, it will lock itself in place relative to the user's body, and then when the user moves to a new location, that window will follow along with them and land itself in the same place relative to their body as when they enabled the follow mode for that window. Lastly, I'd like to talk about some of the great new management features that we've introduced in visionOS 26 for IT organizations. Firstly, we've introduced the ability to enroll devices with the beta version of visionOS 26 to Apple School Manager or Apple Business Manager with the Apple Configurator app for iPhone. All you have to do while your Vision Pro is in Setup Assistant is to bring the iPhone running Apple Configurator near, and a pairing code will appear inside the Vision Pro. After entering the pairing code on the iPhone, you can then add this device to your organization. With this change, you can now add all MDM-capable devices, no matter where you've purchased them, to your organization with Apple Configurator. As one additional note, visionOS now supports the ability to skip the Setup Assistant, so please check out our device management documentation for the new skip keys. And finally, a brand new feature for IT organizations that we like to call Return to Service allows organizations to quickly reset shared devices between users. This also preserves the managed apps upon the reset, but it only preserves the app binaries so that all user data is wiped between sessions. This makes it much, much faster for a user to get into Vision Pro and get to work. This can be initiated in 3 different ways. First, a user can actually open up Control Center and initiate the command right here from the reset device. You can also initiate this command from an MDM console remotely. And finally, this process can actually be initiated by a new user right from the lock screen with a simple press of the digital crown. And with that, I'd like to thank you all so much for spending the time with me today. We are so excited to bring visionOS 26 to our developers and customers this fall.
Great. Well, welcome, Kevin.
Thank you, Shrew.
A question that we consistently get from both partners and customers is that how can they be set up for success demoing their solution to their prospective customers?
Yeah, so this has actually been a long time question from many of our partners since we launched the product many, many days ago. And what we've done is we've built out some tools to help our developers and our partners demo their apps, whether that be to their customers or
I can't hear it now.
consumers.
I mean, it's so low, I can't hear.
There's 3 kind of
Anybody
components
else?
to this. Number 1 is a brand new demo fit app that we've built that's designed to, you can plug in all of your inventory, which light seals you have, which headbands you have. Once that user goes through their face and measure scan, it will recommend, based on the parts that you have on hand, what is the best part
Just
to
a little, not much
for
though.
a great demo experience. The second pillar to this is by enabling third-party access or outside access to the optical inserts. And so we've worked really closely with our partners at Zeiss to build a much smaller lens kit than what we use at Apple Retail or in our executive briefing centers. It's only about 66 lenses, and this is designed to support a 30-minute demo experience for a broad variety of visual needs. And if the user has their prescription, you can just plug it into our demo app. It will recommend which lenses to pull out of this kit so that you can align to their visual clarity or visual needs. And then lastly, we've built out a really powerful document, a set of instructions that uses Apple's best practices and all the things that we've learned from delivering demos so that we can help our partners and our customers deliver the same experience that we do.
Great. And a follow-up question to as partners are demoing their solution to customers, what's some consistent feedback that you're hearing either from day one to with the new enterprise APIs from both customers and partners?
Yeah, so I think there's a couple of things we know that's really important. One, Vision Pro is really, really exciting. And so if you're delivering a demo to a customer, it's really important that you do the onboarding before you put them in the headset. As soon as you put the headset on, they're off to the races. And so they tend not to follow instructions so well. And so really important to let them know what the buttons are on the device, how to properly hold the device before putting it on, and then how to adjust it for comfort depending on the strap they're using, whether that's the solo knit band or the dual loop band. The other thing that we've learned is we've built a brand new feature in 2.4 called Nearby Guest Experience. And so if you have an iPad nearby, you can actually automatically create that guest user experience without having to go into control settings on the Vision Pro itself. And so we continue to listen to our partners to make this easier and make it a much more simple experience for both them and for their customers or their intended users.
Awesome. How can partners help their customers successfully deploy Vision Pros and their solution across their workforce? And then how can Apple help those partners and customers?
Yeah, that's a great question. Every deployment is very, very different depending on the use case, the number of users, the environments that the device will be deployed in. And so my first recommendation would be work very, very closely with your Apple kind of relationships to help you build a deployment plan that makes sense for that customer or for that partner. We now today have full MDM support across a wide variety of MDMs, so you can manage and secure the device effectively. But certainly we have documentation that we can share both with our developer partners and with our customers on how to build the right deployment model for that particular use case or workflow within their environment.
Awesome. Well, thanks for providing that guidance. Next, we'll go over to Ryan's segment where he discusses engineering best practices and come back to have some questions for Ryan.
Today, I'd like to talk to you about building exceptional spatial experiences for Apple Vision Pro in Enterprise. But first, a little bit about who we are. The Spatial Design Lab is a new support offering from Apple for enterprise customers and partners. Our mission is to accelerate the development of best-in-class spatial solutions in enterprise by providing strategic, design, and technical guidance. But what does it mean to be best-in-class, and why does it matter? At Apple, we deeply care about bringing the best user experience to our customers through innovative hardware, software, and services. We believe people do their best work when they have the best tools. Apple Vision Pro is a groundbreaking spatial computer that completely changes the way we work. We are seeing incredible momentum across numerous enterprise categories such as immersive design, training and simulation, and guided work. But there's more work to be done, and our team is here to help you build best-in-class enterprise solutions for Apple Vision Pro. After reviewing hundreds of applications, we've identified and would love to share with you 3 principles that are essential for delivering an exceptional user experience on Apple Vision Pro. Great spatial apps feel authentic to the platform, provide a consistently great user experience, and are optimized to deliver seamless performance. First, let's talk what it means to build a spatial app that is authentic to the platform. Apple Vision Pro is a groundbreaking spatial computer with unique capabilities and features such as best-in-class multitasking, an expanding ecosystem of spatial accessories, and remarkably realistic personas. Building a spatial app that is authentic to the platform means taking full advantage of the platform's unique capabilities and features and offering your users an experience that fits seamlessly into their workspace and workflow. To learn more about designing spatial experiences that are authentic to the platform, watch Principles of Spatial Design in the Developer app or on developer.apple.com. And to explore the incredible new features coming to visionOS, watch what's new in visionOS 26. That brings us to our next principle. Let's explore what it means to provide a consistently great user experience on Apple Vision Pro. Apple Vision Pro completely transforms the way we work. People are using the device throughout their day in various physical environments. To provide a consistently great user experience, it is crucial to consider how your app will integrate into a larger workflow rather than being a standalone, siloed experience. Your users expect and rely on consistency across spatial experiences on this platform. This, of course, has implications for the appearance and functionality of your spatial app. To learn more about building spatial apps that provide a consistently great user experience, watch Get Started with Building Apps for Spatial Computing. And to discover the latest enterprise capabilities that enable people to work in entirely new ways, watch Explore Enhancements to your spatial business app. And finally, our last principle. Optimizing your spatial app is crucial to delivering seamless performance to users, whether they are using your app alongside other apps in the shared space or by itself in a full space. By utilizing performance profiling tools such as SwiftUI and Reality Kit Trace templates and instruments, you can optimize your spatial app to provide a seamless, comfortable, and uninterrupted experience to your users. To learn how to optimize SwiftUI app performance, watch Optimize SwiftUI Performance with Instruments. And to learn how to optimize rendering for your spatial apps, watch Meet Reality Kit Trace in the developer app or on developer.apple.com. We look forward to supporting you on this journey and helping you build best-in-class spatial apps that are authentic to the platform, provide a consistently great user experience, and are optimized to deliver seamless performance. We truly want to see you succeed. Our best-in-class tools and vast catalog of educational content are here to help you build exceptional enterprise solutions for the era of spatial computing. Back to Sharu.
Welcome, Ryan.
Thank you, Sharu.
So what is a capability or API that you're most excited about?
So in addition to all of our visionOS capabilities, I'm particularly excited about the new Foundations model framework that essentially gives us access to on-device large language models for visionOS, macOS, iOS, and iPadOS. You know, with these new on-device models, there's some really magical experiences that are possible on Apple Vision Pro, all while preserving user privacy because all of this data stays on device and can operate offline. Now, combining that with the unique and groundbreaking input model for spatial computing, the one that relies on our eyes, hands, and voice, there's something really special that's possible. Now, you know, we're seeing some really incredible experiences, daily that utilize eyes and hands. But I'm particularly excited to see more experiences that utilize voice and natural language. Imagine, for example, a 3D artist being able to, interact or modify 3D content simply by speaking to it. Or, a company executive interacting with a financial chart and just asking it for insights or advice on what to do. I think something really special is possible when we combine our groundbreaking spatial computer with on-device AI capabilities that all of our developers and partners now can utilize on the platform.
Awesome. And as you were talking, I've been blown away with your capabilities developing for spatial computing and on this platform. So what did you do to become an expert for developing for spatial computing and visionOS?
That's a great question. So my journey into spatial computing started 12 to 13 years ago. And what I've learned is that even now, spatial computing, is an emerging technology and it's rapidly evolving. And so to develop expertise and to stay current, I think it requires two things that I really myself try to practice daily. So one, a great appetite for learning and curiosity about the new possibilities that come with each release of visionOS. So, our teams have done an incredible job listening to customers and developers and their feedback. And visionOS 26 is a testament to that, right? We have the new persistence, beautiful personas, spatial accessories like the Logitech Muse. We're really listening to our customers and developers. But that means there's so much to learn from a developer perspective. And so having a deep desire to learn and curiosity really matters. And then the second, I think, ingredient that I would essentially say to develop expertise is essentially a sense of optimism for the future and our ability to shape it. Spatial computing and AI present great opportunities for the future, but also great challenges. And so I think, at Apple, we have deep care for the user, and being able to develop something truly remarkable, requires a sense of optimism for the future. And so, healthy appetite for learning, optimism, And then finally, honestly, our teams do an incredible job creating, wonderful content for our developers and partners. And so I highly recommend everyone check out the developer app on every Apple platform, and developer.apple.com, because there's so much great new content, over 100 videos just from Dub 25 alone. And so it's really an exciting time to be at Apple working on spatial computing, and I'm so excited to see what everyone creates for this platform.
Awesome. Thank you. We'll turn over now to the Q&A from the audience. And we have a great first question. Either of you can answer this. What are the use cases for which you see the most scalable and valuable solutions right now?
Yeah, Ryan may have a different take, but I spend a lot of time with customers all over the world, and one of the most pervasive use cases that we're seeing is this huge demand for training and more importantly for simulation. So whether you think about a pilot getting trained on how to get type rated for a new aircraft, we're seeing a lot of adoption in the aviation space. We're also seeing things for driving trains, tractors, and many other types of heavy industry vehicles. And so really training those users on how to operate what can typically be a dangerous product or dangerous piece of equipment in a safe environment is very, very powerful. But we're also seeing that even move down into like the trades, right? So we have partners that have done amazing work built specifically around how Vision Pro can impact the learning of a brand new apprentice, maybe as an electrician. They've recently done some work to understand how much better a user learns, whether that's knowledge retention, speed to productivity, reducing error rates for their actual hands-on activities. And so I would say training and simulation, especially as we see the workforce kind of age out of the traditional skills and trying to attract new, younger talent into these skills, we think there's a huge opportunity for Vision Pro to help accelerate the learning journey for those users.
Awesome.
Training is indeed a big one. So we're seeing our customers weekly building phenomenal training solutions. But one thing that we've also seen a lot, like a use case, is immersive design and just more broadly speaking, collaborative experiences. So Apple Vision Pro by itself is a powerful computing, right? Like you can use it just like a Mac, but it's for your face. But what it also allows you to do is you can be co-present, or you can be essentially in a shared experience, whether there's, now in VisionOS 26, you can have the shared experiences in person, but it's also possible to actually have it remote. So in essentially the demo that the SO systems made, right, where we can see how in-person nearby, but also remote participants can join, being able to design something, right, and having teams all over the world being able to collaborate and make decisions faster. I think we're seeing some incredible momentum across industries, right? Transportation, we're seeing some great improvements. Manufacturing. So collaborative design is really interesting. And one thing I'll also say is the device, we're seeing more and more use of people using it daily throughout their day using productivity software, right? So we offer, WebEx, we offer, our Keynote, Numbers. So we're seeing also more people using it for productivity throughout their day. And I personally love Mac Virtual Display, where I have an super ultra wide, monitor, and it's private. No one can see my screen. At Apple, we deeply care about our IP, and no one can see the screen. So it's great for traveling, great for working on confidential things. So there's really awesome developments recently.
Yeah, awesome. This next question we're getting a lot of, Kevin, so I'll ask you this. Does the current Logitech Pencil work with VisionOS 26?
That's a great question. So no, unfortunately, the current shipping Logitech Pencil was not designed for this product. The one that we announced at WWDC is actually known as the Logitech Muse for Apple Vision Pro. And our engineering teams work very, very closely with Logitech to make that product work incredibly well with the Vision Pro. And so it is unique to our platform. It's not available out in the wild yet. My understanding is it's going to ship later this fall. But we encourage our customers. I think Logitech has a landing page now that you can submit your early interest. So
great. Awesome.
Looks like we have a couple more questions from the audience. One that I'll take is around the enterprise APIs. The question is, are there any plans to let developers release apps on the app stores that are using the enterprise entitlements? Which is a really great question. We get this a lot. The unique thing about enterprise entitlements is they're really designed for enterprises based on kind of corporate-owned devices that are managed and supervised by that organization. Obviously we have an incredibly powerful sensor and camera array on the Vision Pro, and so privacy protection for our end users is really, really important. And so in order for these enterprise APIs to work within an app, those have to be distributed privately and can't use the App Store rails. Now, that's not to say some of the enterprise entitlements that were live in visionOS 2, a couple of them will actually become available to everyone in visionOS 26. One example of that is the ability to use low latency input from a camera like a borescope or an endoscope into the Vision Pro. That'll be available in visionOS 26 without requirements for the enterprise APIs.
Great.
Let's see.
Still getting a few questions.
Here, I'll take this second one too. Question is, with MDM setup skipping, how is the device able to get the hand and eye tracking information? This person is actually hoping to get people into the experience faster. And we understand that getting multiple users through an experience, especially if you build something that's kind of a B2C type use case, is really important. And the way that we solve this, one is you can skip some of the setup steps, but we don't recommend you skip the hand and eye enrollment, because that is ultimately what the user needs to navigate successfully around an app or an experience. The way that we're making this simpler in visionOS 26 is, as we mentioned, you'll be able to now, if you've donned a Vision Pro before, once you've done that hand and eye enrollment setup, you can actually save that to your iPhone or iPad. And then once you've done that, anytime you put on another Vision Pro, I can just bring my iPhone nearby and it'll ingest my hand and eye enrollment to make that process much, much simpler. So hopefully that answers this user's question.
Oh, so there's also a wonderful question on, can we learn more about the support from Apple Vision Pro's Designer Lab for enterprise customers? So the Spatial Design Lab is a new offering from Apple, or at least a recent offering from Apple. And the way it works is essentially you would have to work with your Apple account manager or coming through the EBC. And if you meet certain criteria, then you would essentially get a meeting with the Spatial Design Lab. And essentially from there, we would work with you to provide strategic product, design, and technical guidance, helping you build best-in-class applications. If you have a question, please reach out to your Apple point of contact to essentially get in touch and see how we can help. But we're very excited to be working with these wonderful partners and customers at Apple. And while we can't work with everyone, there's so many great resources on developer.apple.com on how to design and develop best-in-class experiences. One thing I would also highly recommend, our developer centers have really wonderful events, both online and in person. We just had one in Cupertino on Tuesday or Wednesday on what's new in visionOS 26. And so, if you have a developer center near you, or you can travel to one, or even just attend online, those are incredible events to participate in, not just for the learning, but the community. Every time I'm, invited to these events, it feels like the space has so much momentum, and I get to meet so many of these, smart folks building for the platform. And so it is very exciting to be part of this community, to be able to support it. And so SDL, or the Spatial Design Lab, is obviously here to help you along your journey, but there's incredible resources from Apple to help all of you build for this platform.
Yeah, just to add to that, for the folks on the call that I might be their Apple primary point of contact, please shoot me an email. I'm happy to further discuss engagement models with the Spatial Design Lab and see where there could be a fit, so we can have that discussion offline, and happy to provide more context there.
So it looks like there's one more question based on what I was sharing, Shrew. Somebody asked, how does a partner purchase the kit of 66 lenses? Which is a great question. So if you have a primary contact at Apple, I'd encourage you to reach out to them first. We can hand you some documentation and the guide on how to go about that. The lenses are sold directly from Zeiss, and so we can get you connected through the Zeiss process to set up purchasing, and then Zeiss will ship you the lenses. So just reach out to your primary Apple contact and we can help get that sorted for you.
Awesome. So with that, this is actually the perfect final conclusion question, actually. So what, and this is for both of you, which of the visionOS 26 features are you most excited about? Start with you, Kevin.
So I think for me, the collaboration, the nearby collaboration experiences are incredibly powerful. We've been playing with them here at Apple, and being able to hand somebody a USDZ asset just from one person to the next within the same room, or being able to collaborate around a huge, large-scale one-to-one model where I can point to a specific area of that model and everybody sees it from the right perspective, I think unlocks a ton of value, especially for design teams, product teams, or anybody who's reviewing whether that's a space, an object, or an automobile. It becomes a really, really great way to share kind of the magic of Vision Pro with multiple users in the same room.
Awesome.
I mean, it's hard to pick. I think one thing I would say is, our new features of persistence, where, if you were to take off the headset, or if the battery for some reason dies, or you reboot, essentially the entire interface that you had before your entire setup just restores. And I think what that enables for developers and partners is this is less a device about one experience at a time. This becomes a true spatial computer. And we essentially, as developers and creators, have to think about what does it mean to enter and exit out of our applications, right? Because now this is part of a workflow. This is part of people's unique workspaces, and they're using it throughout their day. So instead of just having a one-time destination experience, this is more about how does your functionality, how does your experience fit into a person's productivity, and workflow. So that, to me, the persistence is wonderful. And then just one final thing, which is one more thing, is the Logitech Muse pencil. Ugh, I
Yeah.
can't wait to try
Yeah.
it myself and help our customers build for that. But that's very exciting that we're working with these partners to bring more exciting features to
Yeah.
our platform. So very excited about all of it, of course.
Awesome. My favorite, which is a small one, and I highly encourage those who are not on the beta build to maybe download the beta and check out the spatial personas. Oh my God, where we've come from those day one to where they're now, it's remarkable. The lifelike visual representation of your face. So highly encourage you to check out the new personas as well, and those can be utilized as well in your application using the SharePlay API. So that concludes our session for today. Thank you all for joining. If we weren't able to get to your questions, please reach out to your Apple primary point of contact, and we'll get back to you with an answer as soon as we can. Make sure to what Ryan said, check out developer.apple.com for the latest up-to-date documentation and upcoming in-person events in your respective region. So with that, thank you all for attending today's session, and we hope to see you in future sessions going forward. Thank you.
Sure.
Thanks.
Thanks so much.
Hey, everybody. I wonder if we could hold a live discussion. Dr. Clayton, just 5 minutes ago, was pulled off into a meeting. But if anybody else is willing to pull on their camera and join us, we lost Aaron, but I wonder if I can invite him back for a conversation.
I believe he's in traffic, but yeah, he may be able to chat with us.
Okay, so he says you can capture stereoscopic video with the AVP, but not in 180. Hey, Aaron, thanks for joining us. Hello, Kai. Hey, Luke, welcome, brother.
It's going to be hit or miss for me.
How's it going, man?
Hey, good brother. There's actually been stuff I've wanted to talk to you about, Luke. We should probably get together in the next week if that's possible.
Yeah, just tell me a time. I can get together.
Right on, brother. So the question I have for you guys is, what was your biggest discovery? Did you discover anything brand new today that you didn't have before that was useful? And Aaron, I'm going to ask you to kick us off, brother. I know you're on mute.
Yeah. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
I'm also driving. Um,
Yeah.
I only caught the end of the first part of the presentation, and I couldn't hear the audio between the guys. The volume was too
Yep.
low.
Yep.
You know, I value any opportunity to hear them be excited about the product they're making. That's always really encouraging.
Yep.
And you know, I think that what you guys caught the beginning of the presentation. Did they talk about Unity at all during the presentation?
Not that I was able to hear.
Okay. I mean, I think that's interesting. Like Unity was a really, and this is me trying to answer your question, right? That Unity was a really big part of their launch announcement. And I think it's interesting that it has sort of vanished from the conversation. And that could be that because this had an enterprise focus, and maybe the perception is that Unity is for gaming and not enterprise. But then to hear the guy say how high of a priority it is for training applications for the Vision Pro, and then to not hear Unity mentioned at all, I just think that's interesting. You know, it's of course I think they want us to use native software development capabilities on their platform. They promote that all the time. Apple's never been really one to encourage third-party tooling. It exists, but it's always a little bit fussy, and I think that's kind of what we're experiencing with Unity now. You know, I guess I'll just sort of finish my ramble here by saying, like, I appreciate that the other guy was making such a case for how we're living through an interesting era of that rewards the curious, right? And you could say that about VR. You could say that about AI. Like we're drinking from a fire hose. So if the real learning curve is go out and learn Swift to make apps for the Apple Vision Pro, then that might be worth doing. You know, maybe Unity isn't a shortcut.
Well, Unity is making such poor business decisions, they're forcing us to look at other places, right?
Yeah, we could do a whole podcast just on that.
Yeah. So that's an interesting perspective for me, Aaron, because I'm looking at what do I need to get an 18-year-old freshman at a university to get them to be able to enter this world, right? And I don't mean just a computer scientist, and I can still feel the world, right? It's still filled with computer developers and programmers. Well, and this was a developers, you know, event. But for me, I'm trying to think of, you know, what are the entry level places that a non-computer scientist can find themselves, non-computer oriented person can find themselves entering that world in a place that is that feels welcome and interesting and safe. But then where do I get the artists to enter, right? So that's, you know, I'm as I'm looking and listening to this, those are the questions that are going through my head. I think one of them is, you know, their new avatars are beautiful, and the ability to just utilize those avatars and to record them in a conversation, and that conversation being a teaching moment. I think that's a huge tool just there. You know, if we could layer information the way Orchestrate does, it would even be better. So, Luke, I'm going to ask you a question in a second, you know, about what you've seen. But Tim, do you have any thoughts?
No, I mean, for me, it was just kind of very short and sweet. I picked up what they were doing. It wasn't very much in there for me that really jumped out as far as, you know, from the creator side. You know, it seemed like it was just saying, hey, we've got an infrastructure here, we've got all the tools, and we're investing in it, and there'll be more. It seemed like the questions from the audience were very few and specific. So I didn't really have much to add.
Luke?
I thought when they mentioned low latency video from an endoscope, I got really excited because that'd be like medical training and you could just go straight into the body. And I got excited about that. I was like, that's a whole nother aspect. If you could go inside the small intestines and just look around, like that'd be incredible.
Nice. Caius.
Also,
Go ahead.
one more thing. When they were talking about like seamless transition from like the spatial computing to like your regular workflow behind a desk, like it is a thing. Like jumping in and out of the MetaQuest 3, it's two different things. You know, it's my PC may be running some streaming stuff to put the image over there in 4K or whatever, but it's still leaving that environment and getting into this environment and then going back and forth, and it's a transition every time. With them having it so that your settings, oh, and that was another thing, that your settings are just held on the phone, and then you can slap this thing on, bring your phone right into the room, and then all of your settings are there. That's incredible. Half of the VR is just trying to get the person comfortable.
Yeah, you know, it really starts. There are a couple of universities that are interested in an entirely Apple Vision Pro lab, right? And I think the ability to be able to look at a computer from inside and bring that directly in has a, you know, it's a massive power for an instructor in dealing with their students. Caius, you able to join us via non-microphone?
Yeah, I can briefly. I had to change a few settings. I mean, my perspective is that they're definitely trying to find a way to get this into more people's hands. I mean, I think the biggest issue with the Apple Vision Pro is that it wasn't sought after as much as they thought it was. Not enough people have it in their hands. And so I think the main purpose of what they're doing with their, you know, Vision OS 26 is that they're trying to give reasons for everybody to use it, right? And I think they've done very well. You know, a good spiel that you give people when you talk about things like Orchestrate or other softwares using, you know, MR, XR of the sort, you always pull your phone out. You go, this is what links me to the communities, to immersion. That right? You pull that every time. You're like, this right here. Everybody has it. This is what connects it. And going and building off of what Luke said, I mean, utilizing the iPhone and, you know, direct usage with the Vision Pro, I think gives people almost a thought of going, oh, well, I have my phone. I know how to use my phone. I can just get the Vision Pro and I just use my phone for it, right? So instead of them looking at it and going, oh God, I've got to learn something new, right? You've got, people, you know, 30 and under hear of a new technology and immediately go, how do I get my hands on it, right? And people who don't have as much comfortability with new technologies do know how to use their iPhone, right? Somebody in their life convinced them to get an iPhone, right? iPhone is easier than Android. So 9 times out of 10, you end up with people who aren't as familiar with newer technologies with an iPhone in their hands. And now they know how to use an iPhone. And Apple has just now said, well, you know how to use your iPhone, which means you know how to use the Vision Pro. And that, I think, alleviates a lot of stress and concern that people have, especially as they look at the price tag. They go, oh, I'm going to pay for a headset that I've got no idea how it works, that I've, you know, when I could go buy a MetaQuest for so much, I don't know how that works, right? Now they have incentive. I know how my phone works. I'll know how the Vision Pro works. I mean, and from a developer standpoint, as many of you know, I have a game idea for the Vision Pro. I want to call it iPond, and it's you draw a little sort of pond on the ground and a water thing will appear and you're able to go fishing in the Vision Pro. Things like this, what they're doing with the new OS and allowing with, you know, the enterprise things and all of that, coming up with the concept was the easy part. Now I feel the easy part is actually getting in and building it. But that's my personal perspective as somebody who loves the
fishing.
Well, no, God, no. No, I meant like I like building games, like, you know, I like the actual active development is fun for me, and I feel like they've made it easier for me to go in and, you know, hammer that nail. No, I think fishing is so common in most video games that, you know, every AAA title has some sort of spend a half hour or longer fishing. And so my idea was, you know, we need idle games on the Vision Pro. You know, if you're sitting in the Vision Pro, you know, let's say you were in the Vision Pro today watching the conference, right? What if you were like, I got a little bit of ADHD. I want something to do with my hands while I'm watching this big screen in front of me, right? Just draw a little pond on the ground, shoot a little reel, and it doesn't distract you in any way, shape, or form other than maybe some sort of audible cue that lets you know you're ready to reel the fish back in, right? It's not meant to be overwhelming. It's not meant to have 500 mechanics. It's you draw a pond and you throw it in.
That's a really cool idea, especially if it can be done like while you're doing something else. Just have a little sidebar where you have a little pond going where you could possibly catch a rare or something. Or,
Yeah. Games in AVP are, I think there's so many different things that could be created from the basketball hoop that's hanging above your door, right?
Yeah.
There's just so many little things that you could create to make that an interesting world. I'm fascinated. I would love for us to do a challenge around that. And we are looking at a challenge that John Ulbrich came up with, and so that'll develop along the way. So we have 3 Apple Vision Pro reviewers on this call right now. And Caius, I've just sent you the one that I had here at the house, and you'll have a computer to work with it. So the question is, and I know that you were working with it a couple weeks ago too. So is there anything that this encourages us to explore deeper with the people that are that have the Apple Vision Pros now? Is there anything we should take from this that we should build a lesson around, or make accessible to an immediate audience?
I think what we should try to figure out is how a person can just use the headset, right? A lesson on not like how to set up the headset, how to open up Safari. You know, in our times, each of us inside of the headset, we have found little tidbits that we were like, oh, I didn't know I could do that, right? And so what we should do is we should create a what you might not know about the Vision Pro type lesson, right? You may, when you Google how to set up, you can do A, B, and C. But if you click this, you actually get options D, E, F. Or I'm trying to go into like, something that I found with Safari is that if you're trying to watch a video on Safari, the loading bar at the bottom does not disappear, right? There is a way, if you plug the Vision Pro into your Mac, that you can update the registry of it and make it so that that does not happen. So that when your hand is no longer on top of the window, it no longer registers it as an active window. So if you're not pointing at it, interacting with it, it's not a registered window, which technically allows Safari and Google to get rid of that loading bar. You ever hovered your mouse over a YouTube video and you see how long it is at the bottom? Basically,
Yep.
Because as soon as a window appears, it is registered as in use. The entire thing is technically hovered over by the mouse. There's a way you can plug it into your Mac and modify the direct registry of the headset itself to change that. Now, do I recommend people start going and updating the registry of your headsets willy-nilly? Absolutely not. But what the point I was simply trying to get at is that there are things that Apple has not shared with us that you simply just figure out by using. And we should create a what you didn't know 101 about the Vision Pro.
So one thing, now that I'm going back over my head, and it goes to what you're saying. Remember, they pointed out when you're giving a demo, they point at the opening the amount of time you need to onboard them and get them ready. Because once they're in, they're kind of losing track. So I think that shows where the audience still is, right? It just how early this technology is for the general populace. So when you're showing and people are still excited, they're saying put a lot of emphasis there on the onboarding. So I think there's a marriage between what you're saying of helping someone just understand the headset once they're in it, so they don't just deviate and run around. as well as what you're saying, different ways to customize and look at it and organize it. Like the control center isn't as obvious on how to get to it and optimize it and put the things that you want in there that you'll use again and again. So maybe it's like almost like the customization of it, you know, to a degree, so it's most efficient for your use and taking advantage of what it can do. Because I know when I came in there, I was waiting for it. It told me kind of how to use my hands and how to engage, but didn't really tell me what to do with the headset. And so I had to figure that out. So I think what you're talking about, maybe not the extreme of registry optimization, but I get what you're saying. But maybe to the, hey, welcome to the headset. This is what you can do with spatial computing. This is how it's different than another VR experience, or this is how you take advantage of this tool. Sorry, what was that, Luke?
Yeah, how to use your device in a day-to-day basis. Like, what do you want to do every day with it?
That's phenomenal, because I'm an idiot that needs that help, right? Like, give me that, right? So that I can, because in the way that you guys can intuit through a website, right? Where you can find the things and the buttons and the reasons and the hows inside of software, I have challenges with that. So if you can give me that, you can give that layperson that daily use, and then hints on how to expand it little by little, right? We're trying to get the layperson to enter the computer developer's world that is now becoming accessible. Yeah, Tim.
So they have like a little help guide you can go to, and it shows you video on there of how things work or how to perform functions and this and that, sort of like your tutorial. But I just go to the idea you and I were talking about with Revere and the whole walking through. Would it be easy, and I think I made this comment to Aaron or somebody were talking, could you make just a simple little assistant widget that you activate and then it's with you and starts guiding you through? It's almost like a little window that's just there to talk to you. And we could maybe even use the avatar to create a real life, like we're having this conversation here, would just kind of pop up, float around and tell you, hey, go over here, try this, try that. Or I don't know, it might get a little complex when you start pointing out menus and validating if they've engaged with something, but that's what I think of it. I said it would be nice to have a little assistant with me that was hanging out as a window or as an object or as an item that was just kind of in my augmented space, helping me out. That might be a cool delivery of the content. Oh, there you go. There you go.
I realize I'm muted on the video. What we need is a Siri that is able to guide us through the headset, not a Siri that is just going to do what we tell it to. Hey Siri, how do I do this? And it then will proceed to show me how to do that. Versus, again, right now, which is, hey Siri, do this, and it goes, I searched the web and I could not find any. You know what I mean? We need a Jarvis. Right? What we're looking for now is a Jarvis that's able to guide us and help us without us having to tell it point by point what we need it to do. Now,
wouldn't it just be an AI? Like, couldn't there just be a little AI dummy in there?
Yeah. 100%.
Well, I think Siri is the AI. We just need to feed it information, right? It doesn't have access to it online. So if we go through and make things that we know we can do on there accessible to a layman user. Someone's just put it on and have someone there, hey, you can do this and that. And then also have a bunch of things that kind of guide that questioning and thoughts. Activities we find we performed without knowing it could do it or expecting it to do it. And the things we're researching, if there's not answers at our fingertips or it's not easily accessible, instead of building out an AI, you just give Siri an access to something that would give those answers and information. It could be as simple as that. It's just figuring out how to create a resource that she can access that will give the answers or the guidance that we're talking about now.
Aaron, the question I have is, what will you take from today For the development now with the device, has it changed any way your direction next in what you do?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Hello.
Yep. Hello.
I really like the idea you guys were just talking about. There's you know, mass version and the one is as full immersive apps. And I'm trying to think about the ways which would work take advantage of that.
Aaron, I'm going to ask you to start again. You broke up throughout all of that. You broke up for a second. Can you give us that again? No, you just might be in a bad connection, brother.
Something I'll say while waiting for Aaron to get his stuff going. I feel like what you had asked, what do we need? What lessons? What kind of things do we need that could come out of this? What I think we need is a why. Why would somebody get the Apple Vision Pro, right? And I don't think we need to come at it from the standpoint of why would your average Joe pick up the Apple Vision Pro? It should be like, why would the people in this call pick up the Vision Pro? Why would the people in this server pick up an Apple Vision Pro, right? Like, what is the incentive for people inside Immersion to go for the Vision Pro over something like a MetaQuest or an HTC Vive? So what I think we should come up with is a series of use cases for developers. Maybe it's a lesson, maybe it's a document, but a series of use cases for why someone like me, someone like Luke, someone like Aaron, someone like Tim might pick up a Vision Pro to help them in their work, right? For example, I don't know if is anybody here a Windows PC user? Anybody, right? So Luke, you're a Windows PC, right? So one of the biggest selling points of the Vision Pro was that they were able to extend your MacBook monitor, right? Is there a way for us to do that with a Windows PC through a wire, through downloading iTunes? Is there a reason for us to pick up a Vision Pro if you're a Windows user? If you're a Windows user, are you completely stuck, like because you don't have Swift or Xcode? So what I want to see is if we can come up with a why, a use case for, people who otherwise, developers who wouldn't otherwise see incentive to pick up a Vision Pro, give them incentive. Come up with our reasons why we believe they should spend the money and the time on a Pro.
Well, let's throw that out right now. I like that question. And the first, for me, there are two immediate ones. One is, their new avatars and the motion in the eyes and the expression that they have and the ability to communicate virtually with each other through facial behavior. And the second one is the ability to share a screen, right? To bring a screen into your world. That to me is massive. Yeah.
I fully agree with you there.
Yep. My thing is, I think you also raise a good question is if you have to have, if it only works with Apple, and I understand why Apple sets up their ecosystem to make sure there's consistency across their devices and everything else, they've done a fantastic job with it. But you've isolated yourself to the Apple market only. And spatial computing is kind of beyond just a PC and a Mac, right? It's a whole new category. So being able to open that up to not only developers, but just consumers, right? I mean, one of the challenges, because I don't have an Apple here currently. So there are some limitations what I can and can't do when interfacing with the headset, because it's kind of required your phone or your iPad or something in order to use certain apps or upload certain, or like you were pointing out, manage certain aspects of the headset that you have to do outside of it. So you have this cool, amazing experience there, but now my ability to develop for it and my ability to manage it and customize it the way I want to is highly limited. And so I missed out on those valuable things of getting greater ideas, greater experiences, greater participation, because I've isolated myself to the Apple consumer market and only those Apple developers. So that would be another thing, is what are, and obviously there are strategic decisions for doing that to make sure that, you know, they're maintaining that, which makes a lot of sense. But you know, if there are alternative ways to develop things, they do a great job when it comes to actually evaluating the quality of an application and if it meets all the stringent criteria before it can go on. It would be nice if there was an alternative pathway, but I understand Xcode and everything else like that, its limitations. But that would be something else for me. Just even if it's not development, is there another path to start winning over Windows consumers to want to, as it comes to spatial computing, want to go down this route, because the alternative is Meta and Vive and everything else, right? So,
right, and that's, you know, that's been Apple's ethos for a very, very, very long time, right? But to your point, there are some tremendous benefits from being inside of that consistent ecosystem. One of the things that I'm hoping is that Joanne.
Yeah, so there, I know that Caius has a UNC meeting at 1, and he's recording this, and he's going to jump.
Okay.
So just letting you know that needs to happen. So your recording's going to end. Y'all can stay and talk, but I'm just letting you know that that's going to end.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Sure.